When planning a trip to Moab, be sure to allow some time to drive National Scenic Byway Utah 128, or also commonly referred to as the River Road. 33 miles of this 45-mile route runs along the Colorado River, which has created some amazing canyons and areas to drive through. If heading out of Moab, just turn east on Utah 128 off of US 191 and you instantly are in store for a drive of a lifetime. If approaching Moab from Interstate 70, take exit 214 if headed west or exit 204 if headed east, as both will start you on your journey towards Moab. The first 10 miles of Utah 128, which take you south through some barren, harsh, and beautiful Utah terrain, has many curves and hills that makes this very fun to drive. Also, there are plenty of picture-worthy spots along this stretch, so be sure to take advantage of the many turn-off spots. This picture here, near mile mark 40, is probably one of my favorite photos I have ever taken. After driving those 10 miles, you come along the mighty Colorado River, as it's about to enter some amazing river-carved canyons. But first, you must cross the river in the ghost town of Dewey. In the 1880s, a ferry was installed here to cross the Colorado, then known as the Grand River. In fact, originally the area was known as King's Ferry, after Samuel King, the ferry operator at the time. After a small community developed in the area, it was renamed to Dewey. This ferry was the only way to cross the river for anyone traveling from Moab to Grand Junction until the construction of the Dewey Bridge, the second longest suspension bridge west of the Mississippi at the time of construction in 1916. It was a small suspension bridge with a wood road deck made to hold 6 horses, 3 wagons, and 9,000 pounds of supplies. The bridge remained in use until a replacement, the current bridge we are crossing now, was built in 1988. The Dewey Bridge was designated a historic structure by the National Register of Historic Places and refurbished in 2000. But unfortunately, a human-caused wildfire in 2008 burned the wooden road structure of the bridge and was never replaced. The metal structure and wires are still there, but the bridge cannot be crossed as there is no longer wooden road decking and there are currently no funds available to replace it. After passing Dewey Bridge and Campground, about a mile down the road is the start of the Pole and Bull Canyons. These canyons, with their walls stretching hundreds of feet in the air, create a beautiful backdrop for the route as you make your way along the river. 128 winds its way along the river and canyon walls, providing some stunning scenery out of your car windows. Along the way, you will pass 9 Mile Bottom, Hilt Bottom, and the Hilt Bottom Campground. Then, after about 5 miles, you will come out of Bull Canyon and into Professor Valley. The next 9 miles of Utah 128 are nothing like the previous driven. There are actually some signs of life, as this valley area has some fields, a horse ranch, a general store, the town of Castle Valley, and some amazing photo opportunities of rock formations, which include the Fisher Towers. Named for a miner who lived near them in the 1880s, these towers sit about 16 miles east of Moab. This amazing dark red sandstone feature keeps a lookout for the valley, over 900 feet below. Famous for its rock climbing trails, the area has been featured in many books, photos, and motion pictures. Many Western films have been filmed in this area, including Wagon Train and Rio Grande. Also, most of the opening car chase scene of Austin Powers and Goldmember was filmed on Utah 128 and includes the Fisher Towers. The Fisher Tower trailhead is down a 2-mile dirt road off of Utah 128. Depending on recent weather, most vehicles should be able to make it out there, but double check if heading out with a low clearance vehicle. I personally drove out there with a Toyota Camry and had no issues. After leaving Fisher Tower and continuing west on 128, you continue your drive into a valley area filled with soaring mesas and the towering dome plateau bordering the river to the north. There are so many recreational things to do in this area, including, but not limited to, biking, hiking, rock climbing, stargazing, camping, and horseback riding. Also, don't forget the fun activities that come with the river, like fishing, kayaking, and river rafting. Then finally, after driving through the Castle Valley area, you reach the last 14 miles of Utah 128 as it leads you into Moab through another amazing canyon area. With this area being so close to Moab, it has a lot more recreational areas and more people than the previous part of the route. Make sure to stop and check out the surrounding areas, as this is an amazing area to explore. These 14 miles are some of the most amazing anyone could drive in the world. The road at the bottom of this nearly 500-foot deep canyon is a picture worthy in itself. It majestically works its way along the mighty Colorado River to meet US 131 in Moab. The rock face above this vital route was carved in such a beautiful way it's really impossible to take your eyes off of it. So find someone to drive so you can spend your time enjoying this amazing view. This last stretch of Utah 128 is full of campgrounds, hiking trails, and for a good stretch, a rail trail that leads into the town of Moab. Be sure to pack a lunch, as this is a great location to find a nice place to picnic. This is my favorite part of the route, and just love the deep red sandstone edges to the canyon. There's just so much to take in here with the river and the canyon and everything. It is an absolute blast to explore, film, and especially drone on this route. It gives you a perspective of Utah 128 that most people won't experience. All drone footage in this video was shot legally at the time of recording, and if you plan on doing some yourself, which I greatly encourage, be sure to check the current regulations. I hope this video gives you enough information on why you should include Utah 128 on your next trip to Utah. I would recommend anyone traveling on I-70 between Green River, Utah and Grand Junction, Colorado to try to include this on your route for this trip. This is a one-of-a-kind route that you will never forget, and anyone should at least drive this once in their lifetimes. You can easily spend a whole day exploring this area, but even a couple hours is worth it. I truly hope you find a way to incorporate this into your next trip to this area. If unfortunately you can't, don't be down, as in my next video, we will be driving the complete Utah 128 route so you can experience it in 4K awesomeness and or hopefully get a quick preview for your trip out here. Thank you all so much for your never-ending support and time. I appreciate everyone who takes time out of their days to allow me to share my adventure with them. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you think I've earned it, and get ready, as I have a ton more content coming down the line. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and until we meet again, stay adventurous.